Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the January 26th Finance Committee of the Trumbull Town Council. Let's start with the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Margaret, would you please take the roll?
Getting there. Really. Nicole Satin.
Here.
Mary Isaac.
Here.
Christina Alaris.
I'm here.
Tom Broderick.
Here.
John Foreman.
Here.
Richard Wolf.
Here.
Bill Mecca.
Here.
Tony Cinto.
Here.
Okay. Councilman Foreman, would you please read Resolution TC 31-24?
Certainly. Resolution, hold on. TC 31-24. Sorry, my computer's slow. Try to get to the page. Sorry. TC 31-24. A resolution appropriating $6,470,000 for the Trumbull Board of Education Capital Improvement Plan 2026-27 and authorizing the issuance of $6,470,000 bonds of the town to meet said appropriation and pending the issuance thereof, the making of temporary borrowings for such purpose. Full resolution attached.
Can we get a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Margaret.
Mary? I believe we have an amendment.
Yeah, we have to vote on that first, I believe, and then amend. Is that correct?
What?
No,
No? Okay.
there's just to clarify, if I could, the number $6,470,000 is not the number that came out of the Board of Finance. So I think somebody has the number that should be there with the reductions that were made by the Board of Finance.
Right, so we're going
Yes.
to move to amend that. So Mary, you're going to move to amend that? Can you?
Yes, I'd like to amend the bonding resolution to read $5,305,000. If we can get a second on that. Sorry, I'm
Christine,
taking your job, Nikki.
Christine
And-
seconded.
Second, yes.
And yes, the rationale for that is that the amount that was put on the agenda was the original amount that was put forward by the Board of Ed and not the amount that the Board of Finance approved.
Okay, are there any questions on that? Any further discussion? All those in favor of the amendment?
Hold on, Nikki, you have a question from Councilman Wolf.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see that. There you go.
Hi.
Hi.
Do we know, just out of curiosity, it's probably for both amendments, do we know how much in bonding is coming due this year? Is Maria on? I think I saw her on.
Yes, it's between $13 million and $14 million.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, can we go back to that amended resolution? All those in favor? Anyone opposed? All right, so that passes. I think we can move on. Now, do we have Dr. Semmel here? I saw Mr. Dion, correct?
I'm here.
Just trying to find you. There's a lot of people here. There you are.
Yeah.
Hi there. Okay,
Hi.
so why don't we, do you want to give us an overview of the ask this year? And then we can go down each school, each area, and speak to each one or anybody from your team that wants to jump in and answer questions. Does that
Yeah,
make sense?
Yeah, it does. And Mr. Dion has been spending a bulk of his time working on this, so I think it would be best to just ask him to give a quick overview of what the ask is, and then we can go and answer any questions that you guys might have. So, Mr. Dion, can you share that summary?
Certainly. So as we came last year, our buildings are old. Again, this year, they're still about average of 55 years old, each building. Most of this year's requests are things that really needed to be upgraded. These are a lot of life safety, ADA. We did focus on climate, environmentals. We did a study this year about our elevators. We have a lot of elevators in the district. So we asked our current company who's on contract to do our preventative maintenance, Kone, to walk through our buildings and just let us know how our elevators are doing. And from that list, there's a few items there I'm sure I'll have discussions on what we needed for the elevators. So what we wanted to focus on this year, again, were basic needs, the immediate needs, ADA issues, asphalt, concrete projects, drainage problems, some FFE, furniture, fixtures, and equipment, as well as air conditioning. So if we'd like to go down the list, or you have go right into questions, however you prefer to proceed forward.
Okay, why don't we take it each section here? So why don't we start with Madison Middle School? Do we have any questions from committee on Madison? Mary?
Yeah, just curious on the replacement of the elevator. And if you don't have it for this meeting, that's fine. But for the amount that we have typically been spending on maintenance, I know that you said the maintenance when we put the new system in will be significantly less. There will still be annual maintenance to keep it going over the life. But just curious how much we are spending now, because I know that's coming from the operating budget, which will then be coming up in future meetings. So if you have that even for next Monday, that would be great.
Certainly, I'll pull what we currently have. So we have a preventative maintenance contract with Kone. We spend a certain amount every year on them, and each school gets a certain amount of visits. But also from those visits usually comes out some repairs. So what I'll do is I'll try to pull those for the last year and get those to you before next Monday.
Thank you.
Tony? Councilman Cinto, sorry.
Thanks. I got a couple of questions either for one of the folks on the Board of Ed. Why are we bonding furniture and light fixtures? Why do we continually keep bonding stuff that should be in the budget? This, maintenance on an elevator should be in the budget, not bonding it. Bonding's supposed to be for projects, upgrades. I mean, I know you need the elevator. I understand that. But furniture, light fixtures, we're bonding them. They're not going to last 20 years. A chair is not going to last 20 years. I mean, that's silly.
The only item
I'm telling you, it's silly.
The only item I believe for furniture is the cafeteria tables, which have lasted 20 years. The current ones over at Tashowa and Daniels Farm are 20 years old. They're starting to break down. Elevators, this is an elevator. It says repair. This is actually a replacement of the current elevator system. That's why the number is so large. So basically, it's removing the elevator and putting all new systems in it so that the only elevator in Madison School will function.
And I think too, Councilman Cinto, as we go through this, each section, if you see anything that jumps out at you that you want to question, that line item, then certainly bring that up. Councilman Wolf.
Hi. Just out of curiosity, and this is Kevin, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong. I believe looking at these numbers, Jade Ryan also didn't ask for a lot of money last year. They're kind of looking like they're at the lower end. Same thing with Booth Hill. We always hear how Booth Hill's falling apart. And if memory recalls, Daniels Farm, we put a lot of money into Daniels Farm last year as well. And I know, unfortunately, all the schools are kind of built 50, 55 plus years ago, but why are Jane Ryan Booth Hills getting so much less than Daniels Farm year over year?
I'll just jump in quickly on that and Kevin, add to whatever I say here, but I know in the most recent past, we've actually done quite a bit of work at Jane Ryan. There was significant work done in terms of the paving projects and the sidewalks. So that was done a couple of years. I'm actually losing track now. It feels like it's 2 or 3 years ago. It was before Tashua. So that was a huge project over there, and Booth Hill just got a new roof. So there has been some significant dollars put into those. We'd certainly love to keep working on other facets of this, but that has been done. And Kevin, can you add any additional information to that?
That is correct, actually. So Jane Ryan, this summer before I arrived, did get all new asphalt, concrete, sidewalk work done there. And again, as you spoke earlier, Booth Hill, they got a brand new roof a couple of years ago. So did Middlebrook. So we do larger projects, and then things like Daniel's Farm. This year we're doing phase 2. When we get to it, we can talk more about what's going on there. But some years ebb and flow. We also have the district master plan. And some of those items, if you look at what the original 5-year capital that was approved by the town council back in December, that does have items, and there are items for all those schools, but those were pushed out into further years, basically due to the cost and some other more immediate needs.
And just out of curiosity, I know we're just kind of putting Band-Aids on some of these schools right now. Like what do you, in your opinion, and I know we had a study done last year, and Booth Hill was kind of at the top of the list, followed by Jane Ryan, but how long do these Band-Aids last? Like, are we just throwing bad money at, or good money at bad projects? And I know we're a major commitment with Hillcrest right now, and I don't know how much more, without raising significant taxes, our town could sustain with another building. But what's your opinion on the next school, or how long can we make these Band-Aids last?
So when we do these capital projects, we look at some of the most pressing, and then we look at some of the needs that have sat out there for a while and been turned down year after year. Environmental, life studies, life safety studies. These are the things we look at originally. The fixes, such as new roofs, those things will last 20 years. I think prior to my arrival, a lot of windows were done in a lot of the schools, but windows weren't done in other schools, and those are on the 5-year capital plan. Every year is different. Yes, a brand new building would be best. There are a few candidates in the district that could be next in line for a new building or a renovation to new. But what's on this capital list will get us through. We are at some point going to have to start looking at some of the infrastructure of these schools, though. And I think I would defer a little bit to the town council, the Board of Ed, as well as Dr. Semmel on where they wanted to focus those amounts of money. But yes, there are some, if you look at the 5-year plan, there are some large amounts coming down the pike that were mentioned in the district master plan that will not need to start being looked at and money put in if there's no plan to renovate the schools to new in the near future. But for this year, we were able to get what we need and what we asked out of this original 6 million down to 5.3.
And just one last question. Thank you, Kevin. One last question. A couple months ago, there's an article in the Connecticut Post just in regards to schools, elementary schools specifically at full capacity. I know Daniel's Farm, everybody in the town council last year got emails about the second grade being at full capacity or too many students. How are we looking for next year? Like, what's your projections, or how do we, unless we hire new teachers and build more classrooms, like what's your projection? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'll answer that question, Councilman Wolf. So, yeah, the Daniels Farm concern was around grade 2. And that was just because we didn't have any additional money in the budget to hire a staff member. We actually have the space at Daniels Farm to add sections, but there was no money for staff. Interestingly enough, you don't hear about it, but Middlebrook grade 2 this year has the same class size concerns. They're actually the same size grade 2, 23, 24 kids in a class in grade 2 over at Middlebrook. But we haven't heard as much from that group of parents. As they go to grade 3, they'll be below the guideline. So they won't be over the guideline. Now, but moving forward, and you'll hear a lot more from me about the operational budget in the future, I have some significant concerns about where we are with the operational budget, and depending on what comes forward at the end of that, we could be potentially seeing changes to class sizes, but I'll share a lot more information. I've been starting to share that with folks. I've been putting it in my newsletters. So kindergarten class sizes for next year, we believe will all be around 3 to 4 sections. I do have 3 additional sections I've added to my budget for next year, given class sizes might be larger, but it's hard for those kindergarten start, and if I'll need all 3 of those new elementary sections. Should I expand on any of that?
Now, Dr. Summel, I'd like to keep this to today's agenda item. We
capital.
certainly, we've got a lot more to go tonight, and we have
Understood.
plenty of you coming in the next couple months. We'll be seeing a lot of you, so thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Semmel. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Dr. Summel. All right, Councilman Cinto.
Yes, my concern is that, first thing, can anybody get me the records for the last 10 years on the maintenance on the fire panels and who the vendor is? Because it seems that lately we have a rash of fire panel problems in town. I see on your list here, all the fire panels have to be upgraded. So can I have a list of, you guys can get for the last 10 years, all the maintenance records and the contractors on those, please? And also, my main concern is we're spending bonding more than we're retiring. The last 2 or 3 years, we've done the same thing. If you add both of these things up tonight, we're at 20 million. We're only retiring 13 million. We've been increasing our bonding in $5 to $7 million every year, more than we're retiring.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank
We're
you,
spending more
Councilman
than-
Cinto.
We're spending more than we have.
All right, well, we'll be voting. Let's move on now to Middlebrook. Are there any questions regarding Middlebrook specifically? I do have one question actually about elevators. I did see on the Coney, is it pronounced Coney? Financial summary that they had put together that they do want to replace, they suggested replacing the Middlebrook elevator as well. Is that coming down the pike like next year? Did you just decide to do one this year? How much life do you have there? Are we going to be expecting emergency repairs on that?
That is correct. So not the emergency repairs, but we did have to make a decision. Again, when we do this, we try to figure out which is most pressing. We don't want to bond everything out into a large number. So we see what we can get through. So yes, Middlebrook will be coming next year. We have been keeping that one going. We had some issues with it, but we've had issues with all of them. And Madison Middle School, we did have an issue with as well. So there's a couple of elevators, but yes, Middlebrook was chosen to be the one that we would choose for next year. But again, with anything with all of these ages of most of these elevators, the reason why they need replacement is we can't even get the parts anymore. We can't get the power units. When you start replacing some of the smaller things we can't get, well, then we have to start replacing the entire power unit rather than just the pieces that are broken, the buttons, the call switches, the phones. These things are so outdated. So we tried to make a judgment call, but again, could it fail? I'm going to be honest. Yes, we hope it doesn't. We do have a contract. We have a company that again goes through. Kone goes through them multiple times a year, keeps up to state code. But long story is, they're all going to need replacement at some point. The ones that were listed.
Thank you. All right, any other questions specific to Middlebrook? Okay, let's move on to Daniels Farm. Any questions regarding Daniels Farm? No? Okay. Jane Ryan.
I have a question.
Go ahead,
What-
Councilman Cinto.
You're bonding for air conditioners. What's the lifespan of the air conditioners?
They can be up to 20 years, 15 to 20 years. These are rooftop, these are side units, mini splits, depending upon the size and what's currently there. So you can get 20 years out of a rooftop unit if it's well maintained. And we do have maintenance and PM programs out of these.
I have a question about the HVAC systems as it pertains to air conditioning. So these split top units, they want to run what, anywhere from 45, 72, something like that. What about the units you were talking about at the Board of Finance? I believe there are different units that are built for common space areas that aren't these split units. Are those, what's the price? Is it much more expensive to put those systems in? How does that?
Yeah, those require ductwork. So the unique thing about split units is that they don't require, many people have them in their home. That's where they have the head cassette up on their wall and there's actually a compressor outside. When we talk about a rooftop unit and some of the things I did say at the Board of Finance, those are units that are on the roof. For large spaces such as cafeterias, you may see them in gymnasiums. A lot of times they'll just have partial ductwork because it's just cooling that room. But the ductwork and getting it penetrated through the roof and laying it on the roof with the curbing is the structural supports that keep those units up there. It's much more expensive. So you could be talking for one unit and doing one room, you could be in the $200,000, $300,000 range to do large, tall ceiling rooms such as a gymnasium, possibly more depending upon the square footage. What these are, we're trying to do is there's a lot of medical accommodations. If you saw the Board of Finance, it's the same thing. We get a lot of accommodation requests. We get medical for both staff and students, and we're putting in window units in a lot of these schools. Those require so much maintenance and they fail so quickly. And they don't offer air conditioning to other rooms. So by going with the split route, you saw $4 million over Middlebrook for just putting in ductwork and everything else that had to go in with that. We're trying to make sure that we can get cooling and supplemental heating in these rooms if needed, such as days like the weekend we had. That's what we're trying to do here. So on a much cheaper scale, still put air conditioning that supplies to those classrooms, but not putting in ductwork, not putting in outside air units and increasing exhaust flows. This is more or less just replacing those units that are in the windows currently and being able to add some on to a couple more rooms. So we're expanding it and getting more air conditioning in those rooms in many of our schools that are being used throughout the year. So even in the summertime, they need air conditioning, and after the shoulder, the spring and the early fall where it's still warm.
Thank you. Councilman Cinto?
Yeah, are these buildings going to be able to handle electricity draw with all these new air conditioner units?
Yeah, so we chose we had a report done, I guess, when we did the district master plan as well, and there is capacity. So we did choose the buildings that do have that. Plus, some of the existing window units that are going to need replacement won't be replaced. They'll actually be replaced with this. So there won't be a continued draw on everything that's existing. Some of these will replace existing units that are failing that need replacement this year.
So we're not going to get a request for upgrade for electrical?
No, not on these. We chose the buildings that can handle it.
Okay, where were we at? Booth Hill? Any questions on Booth Hill? Tashua? Questions on Frenchtown? All right, moving on, page 5, agriscience. Any questions on agriscience? Trumbull High School.
As one quickie, maybe two.
Yes,
On the chillers, do you have a price? I know you're going to try to refurbish versus purchase new, which is what you did for AgSci last year. Do you have a commitment from them on what the anticipated price is going to be, or is it kind of a hope to at this point?
For what they call the Renew, which is Trane's renewable program, I believe we provided Trane's. I'm looking it up right now. I believe we provided Trane's quote. That's where that amount came from. Was that provided in your packet?
Oh, maybe I'm wrong. The refurbishing for the two chillers versus purchasing new. So I thought you were still looking, I thought that maybe I'm confusing that with the other where you were looking for refurbishing through parts as opposed to purchasing, new.
Right. So, yeah, so I'll just clarify. So that price there is the refurbishment amount, and that keeps the existing chillers where they are. We did not price out because we're eligible for this program, and it's great that we are because we're able to keep the cost down. Again, at the ag side, we're able to cut the cost in half. We did not quote out new because the refurbishment, it would get us the same place and a lot cheaper. So I don't
Okay.
have the replacement. Plus, to do that, we'd have to look to see if codes have changed since that chiller, which is exactly what happened at ag side. We would have had to move the chiller out to a different location, which makes the cost prohibitive. It's a lot more money to actually start changing out the chiller, its size and location.
Got it. Thank you.
Councilman Broderick.
So I know, having watched the Board of Finance meeting, that the drainage and parking plan at the high school, there's a lot of discussion of that. Would you be able to just give a little more details about that plan? But also just wondering if we have drainage issues with the auditorium, flooding issues. If you add more parking to that, are you worried that more increased impermeable surfaces is going to add to the woes? Appreciate what you can give us.
Right. So the plan is where, and I think I spoke of this at the Board of Finance meeting, where that parking lot's going to go underneath it, which won't be seen because it'll be covered with asphalt. And I think engineering can speak to it just as well, that there's going to be a retention, extremely large retention area. So all the drainage where we're going to put catch basins up both sides of all three entrances to the school, that will start funneling into this retention. It slows the water down, and it's able to not back up anymore. And again, I'm not a civil engineer, but they can speak to more. This new parking lot, yes, it'll be much more of a harder surface, but there's actually there's a lot of rock there already as it is, which causes to the problem of the runoff, and there's no way to stop that water. So even currently right now, and you can see some of those rocks sticking out in the front of the school, there is rock there that will need to be removed. The water is still coming in no matter what. This new parking lot gives us the opportunity to put in a large retention basin underneath, as well as get some parking, additional parking, which is good for events. As you know, that's very narrow parking there. People that come do come for events from out of town, or even our own people for plays. It'll offer more parking, and we're getting two bites of the apple, basically. Better drainage, place to put the water temporarily till it eases out, and get the additional 72 parking spaces.
Councilman Cinto, your hand's still up. Did you have questions on Trumbull High?
Yes. How old are the chillers?
Chillers were from 2007, I believe.
So
I'll have to get.
So they didn't last 20 years.
I don't know about the preventative maintenance that was done on them. I don't know how they were maintained.
Will you have records on that?
Check if they go that far back.
Will you have records 5 years or back on those?
I'm sure we have it for 5 years. We do chiller startups every year.
Because these didn't last 20 years.
Correct.
Just trying to make a point.
Yep, part of this train quote, though, I will say, it has a 2-year minimum where they'll actually come out and maintain it. So again, we need to continue funding the preventative maintenance, making sure that that's part of the operating budget, but making sure that we do maintain these chillers, and that's important. And we talk about budget, to making sure we have enough money to make sure that they come out multiple times a year to keep these going.
How much is in the budget for preventative maintenance now?
Depends. I mean, for the HVAC, I'd have to look that up. But I mean, each category, each trade, each area of the school has its own PM. I can send that to you specifically for the HVAC if that's what you're requesting.
Yes, please.
And Lainey seemed to have a question as well that never got answered regarding renovate as new. It seemed that she was wondering if that should be a 20 or 30 year, that should last 20 or 30 years to qualify. I don't know, maybe that's a Dan question, or did anybody? No, I'm getting the same answer Lainey did. I don't know.
Well, Nicole, are you saying about the chillers being
Yeah,
refurbished?
yeah, because we're refurbishing them to new. It seemed that I believe Laney was asking the question, do they qualify? They have to last, if it's going to be a renovate to new project, I believe she was asking, does it need to last 20 or 30 years to qualify for bonding? Did anybody recall that question?
I remember her asking that question, but I believe Mr. Dion said that when they go in and make these fixes, I believe he said, Kevin, you can tell me if I'm misquoting you, but they should last those 20 plus years again.
Yeah, everything is brand new. It's basically a chiller tube. And that's one of the things they look at before they say it qualifies for this for new. Yes, it should last 20 years. Again, anything can break down. So, but yes, done with the preventative maintenance, done installed, which is a nice thing about this is the company that builds this chiller is the same company that's going to do this reno to new. They offer warranties. They'll come out and they'll do the preventative maintenance for us for the first couple of years. These things are important. This is because those first couple of years when everything is setting, it's important that we have the company that builds it here. But again, anything can happen. There could be micro cracks that no one detects, and there could be issues. That could be with a brand new unit, though. I mean, you run this risk all the time with these types of equipment.
Are warranties the same then? When you're talking about, you say that could happen with something new, you generally have a pretty strong warranty.
There is a
So I'm
warranty
just-
with this. It's in their process there in their quote. But yes, there is a warranty for this work. Is it as robust as a brand new unit? No, but there's warranties for what they replace. So it's a trade-off. So the compressors, pumps, all these things that actually keep the chiller, it's not just the chiller tube itself, it's all the guts that go inside of it, all are brand new, and those are covered under warranties as well, motors, pumps, etc. So there's a lot that goes into this. When you look at a chiller, it's a very complex unit. And really what they're keeping is it's like an engine. They're just keeping the metal and they're replacing pretty much everything inside it and everything around it.
I see, First Selectman, Ms. Tesoro.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chairman. I think the question that's been asked multiple times, I know we asked the question, Mr. Dion, when you came before, myself and our people in the office about the renovation as new as well. I'm not sure we've really gotten that answer to that question because the renovation as new really was focusing on HVAC issues in the school. And one would have assumed that these units would have been replaced during that renovation. So I guess that's the question we continue to ask, but can't seem to get an answer to. I don't know whether, obviously you weren't there at the time. I understand that, but we just can't get an answer as to what exactly was replaced. And if these should have been replaced, why weren't they during that renovation? And now seem to be replacing them sooner than they should be. That's, I think, the question we still haven't gotten an answer to.
So we can go back to look at that. I will go back and I will take a look at what was done. I wasn't here for that. So, but I can see what was done. Due to the age of these chillers, I would say it probably was replaced, unless it just happened to be replaced a couple of years. They both were replaced a couple of years prior to, but it's all falling around the same time. I will look into it and we'll get some more information on that.
From my memory, if it's correct, the renovation, as new renovation for that part of the building started back in 2009 or 10. So it's not really that, that's not a 20-year period yet. So I don't know, just asking if you can find that information and share it with us.
We can see what was done and if these chillers were replaced with that renovation to new.
Thank you. Okay, and then just back to the parking drainage one more time here. Is Mr. Marr here tonight? Or is he resting from, oh, there he is. There you are. Yep. I saw you go off mute for a second. Are you there? Mr. Moore.
I'm here.
Ah, there you are. Okay. Yeah, so I know Ashley had requested some more detailed information regarding mostly what the site itself would look like ultimately, and getting, taking some of that green space away, putting in more parking. Are we any closer to being able to share more of the visuals and a little bit more detail about, I'm very comfortable with the type of drainage that you're referring to. I think you gave a good overview of that at the Board of Finance, but I think we're all kind of eager to hear more about what the parking situation and what that lot is ultimately going to be, if we do move forward with this.
So if I can share my screen, I'll show you what it looks like.
Sure. Bill?
I can do it.
Okay.
Can you see that?
Not yet. There it is. Yep.
All right. Wait, open. Trying to get a little bigger. So right now, the front parking area, the green space in front of the high school is 177 feet, and this parking arrangement takes up 74 feet of it. There's a retaining wall that goes around. It goes about 4 feet higher here, maybe 7 or 8 in the middle, and then back to 4 feet down the end, and then tapers off. I don't know
Okay.
yet. And the drainage is underneath. Actually, here's a retention system, and it's having a slow time of coming up in my screen.
Okay.
But it takes up this half of the parking area.
So is that an underground, like?
It's
where
underground.
is-
You're gonna be
It would be
parking on
all
top of it.
underground.
Yes.
And how would the expansion of the lot, like, as it looks now, where are we expanding spaces to? Can we see that somehow on this?
Well, that's what I just showed you. This is the parking area.
And where was it previous? So where is it currently?
Oh, it's the current condition right there.
Yeah. Oh, okay, all right. Now I'm starting to see. This is why I was not an engineer. Okay. And now let's see it again. If you could overlay it again. Oh, there we go. Okay. So much more parking, but still some green space up there.
Yes, there is.
All right, great. Did this didn't get sent out in our packet, did it, by chance? Did I miss that?
I don't know.
Would you mind
It's
just
a
like,
Board of Ed project. I'm just,
yeah.
because I
I
had
did
it.
email it this, I emailed it this afternoon to Ashley. We
Oh,
did
great.
send it to the
Okay.
Board of Finance. I can resend it if anybody didn't.
No,
receive
no,
it.
no. As long
I'll
as
circulate
Ashley-
it, Nikki,
Yeah.
to Council Clerk.
Perfect.
I have not had a chance to look at that.
Excellent. All right, great, because that just gives us a little more detail going into next week. Okay, so is everybody comfortable then with Trumbull High?
I just have one question, Nikki, on that.
Sure.
Just to the difference between the two plans, if you exclude the parking. So the original plan that had started when we first funded the second step of the money for the detention basins or whatever that's called, but for the water, to capture the water and then release it. The difference between the first plan and this plan, if you exclude the parking, what is the difference? Did you find that the first was insufficient, or was this done because of the ability to add the parking? And is there a large price differential? That was probably 5 questions, and I apologize, but you know me.
I think Kevin, if you can answer that.
So originally there was just a discussion basically to make the drainage larger, correct? When I first came into the project, that's all it was just basically making the underground pipes larger. That doesn't stop the flow of the water though, right? And it still goes across, and so the speed still is a factor, as well as silt filling up those pipes. This project, so along the way, when we started talking last year, came up, what about putting retention and putting in a parking lot? The engineers came up with this design, both to mitigate the water, slow it down, and give us parking. So again, for what we get 2 bites of the apple. We get better drainage, and we do get additional parking. It's all hidden underneath the new parking lot. So we didn't get a quote for the original plan, which would just be making the pipes larger and pushing the water. But if you get a similar storm, there is no guarantee. Just going to have more catch basins, putting it underground quicker. But if they fill up, or if they get clogged down the line, then there could be potential issues. So their belief was, by doing this retention, it was a better project, and we were getting more for our money.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, move on to Long Hill Admin Building. Any questions there? And then finally, Fleet. Any questions on Fleet? All right. Anything else, Dr. Semmel? You're good? Before we vote here?
Yep, we're good. Thank you for the
All
questions.
right. Okay, are there any motions or amendments that we have to propose this request? Anybody? All right, so then can we all vote on this resolution? All those in favor? Any opposed?
No. I'm
You're-
against it.
Councilman Cinto, you're opposed,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Okay, Margaret, you got that?
I do.
All right. Let's move on.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night. Let's see. Councilman Broderick, can you please read Resolution TC 31-25?
Yes, absolutely. Resolution TC 31-25, resolution appropriating $14,620,000 for the Trumbulltown Capital Improvement Plan 2026 to 2027, and authorizing the issuance of $14,620,000 of bonds of the town to meet said appropriation, and pending the issuance thereof, the making of temporary borrowing for such purpose.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Margaret, you got that?
I do. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Estrada, are you still awake? Sorry, we had to drag you here tonight.
No, not at all.
Thank you guys to all of you and your team in advance of this. Thank you guys for getting out. It must have been a very, very long couple of days.
The guys enjoyed every moment of it.
Yeah, sure.
I
All right,
think
well, you
there are
just
a
have
lot
to
of people
stay awake.
snoring right now.
Stay awake for us just a little bit longer. We're going to try to move through it quick. Do you have any overview for us? Anything you want to start with before we get right into it? We'll go. We'll do the same thing here. We'll go section by section.
I think we're ready to go section by section. Not everyone from our team is here tonight. Rich Infante, Director of Operations, is, as well as Bill Maurer, our town engineer and WPCA administrator. So
Okay.
between the three of us, we will try to answer any questions that you may have.
Great. Okay, so I believe, I'm just trying to get to my page here. We are going to start with the library. Does anybody have any questions regarding the library?
This packet that we're working on, what page is that start on this?
I am on page, well, it's 145 in the full packet
Yeah. okay, hold
and
on.
page 5 of 10 I have on the schedule itself. Okay. All right, no questions on the library. I'm going to move on to town hall. Any questions on town hall? We have police headquarters. Any questions on police headquarters? Okay, moving on to the senior center. Councilman Isaac?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, George, if you could, since we have had questions and obviously discussing the survey tonight, I know we'll probably ask you to do this more fully at the full council meeting, but just a kind of a quick recap on the how and the why of how this is working. So obviously Monday's going to be a much broader discussion, but if you can just give us just a quick synopsis, I think that would be helpful for anybody watching.
Sure. When we presented in December the 5-year capital plan, we had broken out a maintenance and renovation plan for the existing facility. There, as we consolidated to the 1-year funding, the discussion was it would probably be more effective to there were 2 plans here. One was the renovation of the existing facility. The other one is continuing to explore options for the sites that we currently control. And the differences were $225,000 for a facilities modernization plan for the existing facility, or $275,000. So what we are proposing, we shifted everything in the plan to out 1 year. We left only one line, the $275,000, which that would allow for the council to decide. And actually listening to the conversation earlier, it dovetails into the conversation earlier. Allow the council to have discussion and then provide some direction as to whether we pursue a renovation of the existing facility, a renovation as new, or we look at the existing location and Hardy Lane as well as Main Street for a different consideration, a different proposal for that. So it's really bringing all of them into a study that the council then would have better details to be able to arrive at a decision that would provide some direction moving forward. So listening to the discussions about a survey, that would dovetail into this, because that survey would inform whatever we were to explore with the funding that we're requesting here.
Thank you, George. I'm sure there'll be more questions, obviously, at council.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Okay, then moving on to Public Works Yard. Councilman Isaac.
Me again. George, just checking on the construction for the garage siding. I know that it had been phased in for 100,000 over the 2 years, and there had been a discussion about the efficiency of doing it in 1 year versus 2. Based on your expertise and your guys, would that be a better idea for us to, instead of phasing it in, to do it all at one time, more expeditious and a better way to go with the project?
It clearly would be overall probably more economical to do it as a comprehensive plan. However, that would be a substantial amount of money. And when we're balancing so many critical priorities within this ask, this 1 year ask, drawing so much for that one component will obviously bump out several other priorities that are in here that would have to make up that difference. Because the plan, when we prepare the plan, and we work very closely with our finance director and first selectman, we try to present something ultimately that's prudent, that is in line with the spending the previous year without bringing anything for consideration that would be too extreme.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else on Public Works? Moving on to Animal Shelter.
Animal shelter, if I could just provide a moment of clarity on this. This basically comes down to one of the fire districts provided a used backup generator that we are trying to integrate into the animal shelter, because the one that we have, the existing one that we have, is really very old, and we want to proactively try to have a reliable power backup source there with the animals that live there. So this funding is, we anticipate we may not need to use this funding. This is in case that the one that we are trying to integrate into that building does not, for some reason, work. We will have to purchase a new one and replace it.
Thank you. Any questions on that? Okay, moving on to townwide sidewalk repairs, building security updates. Security updates, I believe we would have to talk offline, as we don't want to be discussing security updates in a public forum. Any questions there? Okay. Twin Brooks, irrigation is the topic there. Any questions on irrigation at Twin Brooks? Councilman Isaac.
I think this is my last one, George. And this may not
Don't
be you.
believe her, George. Don't believe her.
No, I think it is. I think it is. I meant to ask this earlier, but for the replacement, and I know that they were saying that this is where rock was pulled, gravel has been pulled over the years. So there's a lot of drainage issues, and it floods because it's all rock that's there. Is the plan to, since it's saying replace, so I assume there already is a irrigation there that either is not working or isn't sufficient, but is the plan to dig out the rock that's there, all of the hard pan, whatever it's called, that's there, and then put in regular fill and clean fill, I guess, and then put the irrigation system in and riprap, grass? Is that okay?
No, the plan is not to replace the plan is to replace the existing irrigation system, because there is a system there. And because there's a short distance to that rock that's below, that was part of the quarry, to excavate that would be very, very expensive. So many years ago, the town made the decision to put a certain amount of fill. The irrigation is necessary especially during the dry months, to maintain the grass, because that water clearly drains. It's like growing grass in your yards along the edge of a driveway or along the curb line or sidewalk in front of your house. That's the driest, hottest area. The sun beats on it, so the root systems do not thrive. So without irrigation, nothing will grow there. It'll be green in the spring when it's rainy, and then the minute the sun begins to get higher in the sky, July and August, everything would die, including the trees that are planted along the perimeter. So irrigation is the only way to have everything vibrant in that area there, because nothing would survive without an irrigation system.
Okay, so the rock, everything they were talking about, that's adjacent, not below. Okay, that makes,
And it is below, yes, because that entire area, there was a basin where they quarried rock many years ago.
yeah, I live Indian Ledge, so I'm familiar with the fun of that. Okay, thank you, George.
Okay, moving on to parks. Anybody with questions regarding parks? Councilman Isaac, your hand's still up. Anything there?
No,
good.
I didn't lie. Let me lower.
You never know. All right, Councilman Wolf. No, we can't hear
Sorry.
you. There you go.
Mary,
There you go.
you can go if you have anything in the parks. before
No,
we check.
I forgot to lower my hand. I was so excited I was done.
So I just can't find the page for the 200,000 for the historical. I just can't find what page that's on just to look at the details. Just because I'm thinking 200,000, that's a large renovation. I know my wife would love $200,000 to renovate parts of our house. So just if you could just briefly just elaborate on the 200,000 for the historical society.
Sure, I'm looking for that line item myself. Well, in a nutshell, it's the building that is the historical association, up in Nichols. The original house, the center house, is 250, 300 years old. Over the years, there were a couple of appendages onto that house. One of those today has separated somewhat from the main structure, and that's caused by some sort of structural failure, probably in the foundation, the footing. It's a stone wall. So the money that's being requested, we have to bring in an engineer, an architect that are familiar with historic preservation type renovations, that can assess and then provide us with a plan of how to stabilize that and then correct it. So at this time, we do not know what we're getting into. We just know that there's a gaping hole, a separation between those two structures that you can actually put your hand into.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, if there's a detailed page on that, I don't see it in here. I've scrolled
Yeah,
through it a
we
couple
didn't
times.
have-
Not that it's not in there. I just can't find it.
And we don't have a lot of detail to that yet, because until we have the funding, we can't pursue the professional services to
Gotcha.
do that assessment.
Okay. And is that where you moved the old J. Ryan house? Is that where you moved that to?
Bill, do you know what house that was?
That's the schoolhouse
The old,
that you can
yeah.
put up over by the library.
That was by the library. Okay.
Yes, that's right.
All right. Thank you. That's my questions.
Okay. I think, George, regarding the playscapes, there were definitely several of us that were kind of bummed to see that go. I know it got pulled on the Board of Finance. It was attractive to a lot of us, I think, because of it being ADA and being one of the only areas that we would have fully devoted to that in our parks. So, I don't want to see this just go away maybe this year, given all the, so many other pending issues that we have going on. But, maybe some more homework would be appreciated on that. Can we look at some other, options at a lesser cost? Can we take a holistic look of, how much ADA we have throughout the parks now, or compliant, I should say, ADA compliant activity, or pieces of playscapes that we currently have, whether that's on even in the schools and elementary playgrounds, etc. And maybe just some more creative options, maybe even looking at another location. I know location was a concern for some people, like Wyatt Beaches, because it seems to be such a seasonal area that people go to? Can it be in an area that is more, that we use, our residents use year round? So we did have a lot of questions surrounding, the future of that concept.
Okay.
Okay.
I will speak to Dimitri before next week and see if we can bring something to you that might help.
Great, thank you. Let's see, paving, anything on paving? All right. Moving on to EMS, a new ambulance for EMS. Anybody? Okay. Highway. We're going to be very kind on highway tonight. It's your
Thank
lucky
you.
day. Let's just ask though, how did everybody do this weekend? How did everybody out there work? Did you end up with any issues out there? Did the equipment all do what it needed to do for you? How did things go?
I'm going to defer to our Director of Operations to just give you an overview. If you can, please. Rich?
Absolutely, George. Things went as well as could be expected with this kind of storm. We had put additional trucks on the road to be able to keep up with the snow that was coming down. It did put a strain on our fleet. Some of the vehicles that are set up for replacement are maintenance vehicles. So every time you're using them, there's always things that need to get repaired and replaced on them to keep them on the road. That's why we would like to keep on task with our vehicle replacement so that we keep the fleet updated enough so that we can have these trucks available in these emergencies when we need them. We did have minor breakdowns, nothing that impeded the operation. As you probably know, if you're looking out the window, there were trucks going from when the storm started all the way till this afternoon. They finished up about 4 o'clock. And we actually have 6 more trucks back in with this last little wave that just came through. So we're trying to keep up with the roads. The whole crew did an excellent job. I commend all the guys. They really pulled together and got it done for the town. One of the things, the question is the vehicle replacement all the time. There's several reasons why we want to keep on task with the vehicle replacement. There are a couple of vehicles in our fleet that they're obsolete and hard to get parts for. Truck manufacturers back in 2006, 2007 have since changed hands, officially gone out of business, and we can't get replacement parts for those vehicles. So we'd like to stay on task with replacing the vehicles in the fleet. There's also another major reason why we're looking to stay on task and keep all these vehicles into the fleet is emission requirements. EPA requirements are changing for 2027. Now, we always keep a fleet in mind. So that means standardized engines. So you have the same replacement oil filters, air filters, everything, so that we can manage the fleet like in a storm like this. So you don't have to stock a million different kinds of parts to keep the fleet going. This is going to change unless EPA rolls back the regulations, and nobody is saying that they're going to at this point in time. So it's a major change. It actually is going to require us to send all our mechanics out to get retrained. The engine package from the manufacturer's words is going to be significantly more in cost. So we would like to purchase, these vehicles and replace them now instead of waiting a year, because the price is going to go up substantially. They had to change all the emission equipment that bolts to the side of the truck, and they actually had to lighten up the engines to be able to compensate for the additional weight of the emission control systems on it. And there's actually a new generator that goes on to power the new emission controls. So we need some phase-in time for that, and we would almost like to load our fleet with everything that's standardized across the board, which would be the 2 plow vehicles that we had asked for and a garbage truck, so that we have the same power package across the board, and we could phase in our maintenance division, train our mechanics, and get the necessary software and all the additional stuff that we need to maintain the next generation of diesel engines that are going into all the heavy duty trucks that we're going to be buying in the future. It's a major change for the town of Trumbull. And we're trying to figure out a good way to, to manage this. And it seems to be get all the vehicles you can now and kind of stretch out and get one vehicle of these new ones as they phase it in, so that we can get used to them before we start loading the fleet with these over time.
Right,
And
thank you.
If
You
I
see,
may,
yep, go ahead.
if I may, I just want to say thank you to Rich and team, because they really did an incredible job the last
Yeah, huge
2 days.
kudos.
Yeah.
Big kudos.
Thank you very much. It's been a busy winter.
Yes, it has. I don't think it's ended yet, but I won't say that
It's
out
not.
loud either.
Yeah.
All right, I think our first selectman would like to say something.
Yeah, just for a minute. I know it's been said before this evening, but on behalf of everyone here again and the community, I can't say thank you enough to all of you. We all know just watching out our windows, and we were in warm houses, and you guys were out there in the cold trying to keep us safe, of all that you did for so many hours. It really is quite incredible, and not certainly not an easy job to complete. And then we continue to see it start to snow and stop, which is craziness.
Yeah.
So let's just all hope tonight that the next storm fizzles out before it makes it to us, so that you can have a weekend of peace.
It would be nice to have a weekend that we don't have to work all weekend long.
Absolutely, but we are so thankful for all you do.
I will pass that along to the guys because
Please
they
do.
actually make this whole thing work. We have, our division, parks taking care of the sidewalks. All the highway guys are out there battling the storms. The last set of storms last weekend was the worst. We've never seen 4 storms in a row like we experienced then. And that was such a strain on the guys, the amount of time that they were in the trucks, even this past storm with the major snowfall. They're spending a lot of time in these trucks. They're in the trucks for 24 to 36 hours. So I commend them on, the ability to do this for the town and make it safe for everybody.
Yes, thank you for all you do, and please thank them for us.
Thank you very much. I will.
Councilman Cinto.
Yeah, I have a question for Maria. Maria, a couple weeks ago, I sent you an email. I'm requesting, I ask you how much we spent in appropriations from July 1st till today. I don't know if you were in or not. You might have been out. I'm not sure.
I was on vacation, but I will
Yeah.
look for that email and get back to you for next week.
Yeah, that'd be super. And the second request is, if we took last year's bonding request, right? How much of that have we spent so far?
I will look that as well.
No, I know you borrow the money, then you guys bond it later, but I'm just wondering what, say last year we had $20 million in request, how much did we spend?
Yeah,
All right. That's
I will
why
look
wanted
into
to-
that.
Those 2 things. Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And Nikki, I lied. I have one more for George or Rich.
I told you,
I
George.
know, I was so close, but it was such a great conversation.
I'm
Now,
just
are there
kidding, Mary.
multiple manufacturers for, say, for the snowplows? Is it like one main? I'm just wondering if we work with other towns that we can order in bulk. Obviously, it's switching, as going up because of the standards, but do we ever go with other towns to say, like, surrounding, we can order certain, get some better pricing? I know we go through the state of Connecticut and there's all of that,
Yeah.
but
So we've researched it and we actually buy off the state bid, which is the most competitive price there is. And it's usually a long-term bid. So you're buying the same vehicles over a longer period of time. So you can actually have a fleet that you can manage. Like I said, with the same power package, same size tires on them, all the replacement parts are the same. So it makes it easier for our guys. Once you identify a common problem with the vehicle, we know what it is for 10 other trucks so that we can manage the fleet and keep it on the road a lot easier. So that's the mindset we go through. But the state of Connecticut bid to actually purchase these with the engine packages and everything that they set up are the most cost effective that we found. We've priced them individually before, looked at other towns. Everybody is pretty much going off the state bid for this style truck, single axle, 6-wheel heavy duty truck for plowing.
if only they could give us the same in a healthcare package, but well, okay. Thank you.
Okay, I think we're ready to move off of highway here. back to parks and replacing a Ford truck. Any questions about that? George, any overview on that from you?
On the parks truck,
The parts truck? Is
I'll
this
turn
an
over to Rich on that
absolute
also.
need?
Yeah, Rich, why don't you fill in?
The truck that it's replacing is in extremely poor condition. And this is one of the trucks that will be, used year round for everything, but it's very well set up for the snow removal and maintenance work that the Parks Department does. Our big plow trucks are excellent for the roads. This is like a mid-sized truck that he can get into, say, police department parking lot, town hall parking lot. You can maneuver it because it's a little bit smaller. It can get equipped with a high lift plow, which it's going to be, so that you can plow these bigger storms. The pickups have smaller plows, lower profile. We can't push big storms with them. So this is an intermediate that fills in the gaps for the parks to be able to handle all this stuff around town.
And the current one that we're using has no life left, or does it have a little life left? Where are we at?
There's no life. That it's deteriorating. The floor's rotting out. It's in very poor condition.
Rich, can we get some pictures of that for the meeting next week?
Yeah, I believe that they had them. They may be somewhere in the file that we could send them digitally.
We'll provide something for the council to see before next week.
Something super dramatic. I can feel it.
Oh, yeah, prepare.
Okay. All right, moving on to economic development. Anything here? Everybody good? Engineering? Any questions on engineering? Good. Okay, and then we have other projects, the bidirectional what's the BDA radio? Remind me of that one. I know that was discussed at Board of Finance.
I believe Glenn is here. Did I see him?
Yes, I am, George.
Yeah,
that's
Chief.
yes.
Chief is here.
Hello.
Good evening, everyone. Glenn Burns. I'm the Assistant Chief at the Police Department. This amplifier is an important piece of radio communication equipment that we use. This is one of two buildings that have radio problems in town, one being the high school and the second being the mall. The unit that is in the high school has failed after quite a few years now and has limited our ability to have any communication inside the building. What it does is amplify the radio signals going in and out of the building. Officers on their portable radios have a limited amount of power to transmit. So this device broadcasts the signals going out and coming back into the building.
Thank you. Any questions on that? All right, and then I think lastly, any questions on WPCA? All right, that brings us to the end. Does anybody have any motions or would like to propose any amendments to this resolution? No? Okay. So is everyone in favor of approving the resolution of $14,620,000 to the town side? All in favor? Any opposed? That would be Councilman Cinto, Margaret.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we're good. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody. You
Thank
guys
you.
go get some sleep and thank you again for all the work out there.
Yeah, thanks to the town.
Thank you very
Night,
much.
everybody.
Good night.